Hi guys, welcome back to Mystic Mamas. I'm Danielle,
And I'm Dakota.
and welcome back to part two of the last episode we had, which we were talking about our craziest spiritual experiences and microdosing, plant medicine. And today we're also going to add in a little ayahuasca talk and just vibe and go with the flow. So I believe we left off talking about microdoses and being responsible with them and also knowing your dosage. And I do want to reiterate that and kind of tap in to a little bit further of that because I've gotten a couple questions since, and I do want to be really, really adamant about how microdosing in plant medicine is an aid and it's not a end all be all. It's not a magic pill. It's not something that you're just going to take and it's going to help, especially if you have like real depression. If you encourage you to seek actual help and if it's deep enough and not just turn to something like this. When it comes to Dakota and I both, when we do, I know me, I've done it a little longer, but I am extremely intentional, not just like I touched a little, but I want to kind of jump back and touch on how like it's not just like drinking my water or eating something nutritional in the morning and working out and moving my body. It's also still very much tapping into journaling and all the emotional regulation tools I'm already doing, tapping, somatic exercises, embodiment exercises. It's just an aid alongside all of these things that has really helped me. And it's not just that. I would never want to just say like, yes, this is going to help you in all these areas. It just helps me in a lot of ways alongside. It's an aid. And it's just like that with any kind of medication you take, any kind of, even to put it in like a weight loss pill terms, if you're doing that, you still have to do things to help it along the way. You still have to eat clean, you still have to work out, you still have to watch certain intakes, and it's very much so the same thing. If you are wanting to try it and it is something that interests you, just remember that it is an aid, is an intentional practice, and should be respected as such. They are still very much so plant medicine, it's just help. That's all I want to really reiterate, and that it isn't the only thing that has helped me. I think it's been a very small part in actual what has helped me. I think what it helps me the most with is get out of my head, because I am very head heavy. I have a lot of thoughts, and sometimes it allows me to like kind of break free of those and be very present and very like in my body in a different way, and elevates my mood in certain areas. But yes, I just wanted to tap back in because I have gotten a couple questions, and I don't want people to think that this is something that's going to be a cure-all if you're not doing work and putting in the inner healing side of it. It's a very intentional practice. So that's my little spiel for microdosing for a second, because I do want to touch on that.
Yeah, and I would also say, like anything, it'll work if you work it, right? Like this is with everything that you do. Danielle and I have been doing this work for a very, very long time, aside from all the other modalities that we do. So that's what helps us progress, like regulation tools, like she mentioned, doing the microdosing, like she mentioned, all of that. Yeah, is just like, it's not going to work if we're just sitting with it or drinking or not like taking the steps to actually get deeper with ourselves. It won't work. I'm telling you this, okay? Even regulation tools, I'll tell you that too. Like regulation tools do help, and they are fast acting, but they're not going to help as much as they would if you weren't doing the work as well, because it's about getting deep with yourself and understanding your feelings, thoughts, emotions, and yeah, just really getting to the root of all of those so that you can understand a little deeper about what's actually going on for you. So I encourage you, if you do microdosing, please also journal. Maybe Danielle and I can make like a journal full of prompts for some microdosing,
That's
questions.
a good idea.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get that out to you guys. But yeah, I also agree with Danielle. It's not gonna work unless you work it. You can't just
It's just a
that's
tool.
Everything. Yeah, just a tool with
It's
everything
one
else.
singular tool. And also separating yourself, especially tip for those of us who have used, I'm just going to call it shrooms, mushrooms. If you've used shrooms in like a party sense before, you really have to detach from that. And that's why I'm really intentional about calling it plant medicine now, because in my brain, and when I first started, I had to separate the two because I had used it just to party and I was not intentional with my mushroom uses before. And so really have to separate yourself from shrooming and plant medicine and microdosing. They're very, very different. They're very, very, very different. The only way I can explain it, they're just not the same. You can't go in with the same attitude, mindset, anything, it's a very intentional thing. And just like macrodosing, shrooming, and any kind of hallucinogen is a very serious. I think we don't. I think our generation has kind of taken it into this party space where it can still be extremely dangerous if you go overboard, and if you do, like, it's a very mindset thing. So you have to be in that right headspace, and you have to have a really good intentional mindset around it. And I want to preference that too.
Yeah. I agree 100%. It's all about intention. And I think that's with anything that you do, right? It's all about the intention you put behind it. So, yeah, just, any tool that you decide to use, microdosing, regulation tools, embodiment, anything. It's like, what intention are you putting behind it? Are you creating like an open heart space for yourself whenever you go into it? Are you just figuring that it will fix all your problems? Because, yeah, that's not how it works. Sorry to break it to you.
Yeah. And in that, I know I still fully love a good, I mean, I haven't actually had a full like macro dose since I had a baby and stuff, so I haven't intentionally gone into that practice, but there is a lot of power and healing in ceremonial practices too, and macro doses, and all of that also even more so needs to be intentional in the right space. And anytime you play with any kind of hallucinogenic or anything along that, or use it for ceremonies or whatever, it needs to be intentional, especially if you're in the healing space. What I've noticed, we touched a little bit back on the last episode, is if you've been healing for a long time, the energy around other people is very different. That is something I've noticed more so now. I used to take mushrooms at festivals and all sorts of places that had a lot of energies, but the more I've gotten in tune with like myself and like healing and spirituality, the more I've been attuned to energy around me. And yeah, it's a very different experience now. So definitely, I think if I did a macro dose, it would have to be in a very, very specific setting again.
I agree. I've actually always been like that. I've always noticed that the energies throw me off, and I couldn't do them at music festivals or anything like that. I always had to have like a specific group with me whenever I would do macrodosing. Which leads me into, that next conversation. Yes, we have macrodosed before. Only really done it when I was younger. I've never really done it intentionally with ceremony behind me, but I know how transformative it can be. I don't know if you guys have seen the Netflix documentary, but it goes into it. I forgot what it's called. Do you
Man,
remember,
I
Dean?
can't. I wish I would have thought beforehand to look it up, but I
Yeah.
know which one you're talking about because I watched it
hmm
actually with my family, and it was very, very informative. And it was the one documentary that actually led me down the microdosing like thought process years later, not when I first watched it.
hmm
But I remembered that documentary, and that's why I kind of like ended up looking more into microdosing because
Yeah.
it was so informative on how powerful
hmm
a lot, even LSD has a lot of and when
And
used,
MDMA.
yeah,
Mm,
when used intentionally. Yeah, I know people even use ketamine for depression, but that is like specifically done with medical professionals. Y'all do not go taking ketamine for depression. It's like a very little. I just saw practice on it. It's done with like a certain. I think in California they do have like practice. Very expensive, but yeah, some of these things have a lot of healing properties if used
correctly. Yeah. In the
correctly.
right setting with intention. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, but so yeah, macrodosing 100%. I am for it if you're in a safe space, if you have intention behind it. I don't ever think I would do it just for fun anymore. Like that's just not my vibe anymore. I think it's more so like a spiritual modality for me. And I see that more so than I ever have in the past, because in the past it was just a party drug. It was just something to do, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's my thoughts around it. Again, just please be intentional with anything that you do. The documentary is great to watch if you want to take a look at it. I want to say it's something about psilocybin or mushrooms in general. Just look up mushroom, that'll pop up for you. I do kind of want to go into just a little bit about ayahuasca, if you're ready for that, dear. If you have anything
Yeah,
else you want to
yeah.
touch on. Okay. So ayahuasca, if you guys don't know what it is, it's just like any of the other plant medicines, and it can really help you uncover the veil for yourself. It allows you to find the truths in who you are and what you're meant to do here. And it's a lot of deep shadow work. And I would even say you could probably use it as a dark night of the soul. A lot of the people that I follow in the spiritual realm in community, they talk a lot about it. A lot of them have done it. My take on it is I go back and forth. Whenever I first heard about it in my very beginning of my spiritual journey, I was like, fuck yeah, I want to do it. And this is going to be so good. I'm going to be so woke and enlightened, and I'm going to just like know everything. And I'm going to be so good. It's just going to like get me to the point that I need to in order to move forward. And then I got deeper into this work and I realized there's a lot of stuff that I needed to uncover myself. And just like microdosing, macrodosing, and ayahuasca, like these things will uncover things that you have been suppressing for a very long time. And the deeper I've gotten with embodiment, because embodiment really also pulls that up for you. It allows you to see what you've been holding down, what you've been pushing down. I know I had that podcast episode about me talking about how, I had that realization that I was still holding on to the belief I am not good enough. Well, with these tools and modalities that I've been using, that's why I uncovered it. But I feel like if you were to go into ayahuasca, it would probably tell you something around that, like you need to work on this, you need to work on this, like all this to say I'm for it, but also it needs to be in a good setting. It needs to be in a ceremonial setting. It needs to be with shamans around. It needs to be professionals. It needs to be maybe like in the mother country that it started. I think that's Peru. Maybe, possibly. Don't quote me on that. But I know they have one in Peru, Costa Rica, I believe it is. A couple other places. You can look them up online. But yeah, I say yes, I would love to do it. And also, it scares me shitless. It really does.
No, I remember whenever you the first time she told me about it, I literally looked at her and was like, fuck no. I want nothing to do with that.
Remember.
Absolutely nothing to do with that. Don't even know. But also, I've kind of been that way, like with like really strong hallucinogenics, like have never liked to be too like out of my own control. And I've experienced it a couple times with acid use. Also something I haven't done since pregnancy, probably will never do again. Not that I didn't have, my fair share of good times, and I had a couple bad times that made me like afraid. I've never done anything like DMT or anything like that because the strength of it scares me shitless. And so when I think of ayahuasca being like so strong, even though I would be in a professional setting, I get a lot of like fears coming up around just like not even like reality of what it might show me about myself, but just like the idea of being so like in a space, in a zone like that. And it is scary to me. And also I feel the same way. Part of me now that I've done more healing and seen more, like I went to a point in my healing where I was like, okay, yeah. And then I felt like fuck yeah, I want to do that. I want to do that. And then I got a little deeper and I was like, I really want to do that. But there's a big part of me who like really truly wants to do that. And I feel it would be really healing and it would be an incredible experience in the long run, even if it was heavy. And it's just like my experience with microdosing. And it does bring up a lot, even in that small dose, it brings up things that need to be released. I remember when I first started microdosing, I had like things coming up and I was like no longer people pleasing. I was like speaking my mind a little bit more and like had a little bit more like, okay, no, this needs to be healed. And like random stuff would pop up. And me and Daniel had to go through a little bit of discussions and stuff that I didn't know I was holding on, but brought up. So like even in small doses, it can bring up a lot of stuff. So I can only imagine what ayahuasca brings up to be healed and what it all like feels like afterwards. And it's the same, we're in the same space and in the community. I see so many people that I like look up to have done it and have nothing but really good things to say about after. So I do think it's in my future eventually. I'm just the how and when not sure, obviously. But yeah, I would 100% be open. I'm sure it'd be one of those situations where I'm like, do I really want to? But then do it kind of like when I get on a roller coaster, like, do I really want to do this at the top of the line? And then I get on, I'm like, damn, that was fun. Let's go again. So I'm right there with you. Very same on that. Also, you do have to kind of go out of the country. And the only way I would feel comfortable if it was like a very reputable, very safe space. And that's kind of how you have to do something like this. It's not accessible like mushrooms or any of the other things, at least not to my knowledge. Like you can just get it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know about on the streets, but I know people hold ceremonies in the US.
I meant like just like streetwise.
Well, I'm pretty sure you can if you find the right people.
That's
Because
terrifying.
people in LA, this is what I've heard on a podcast. Some people in LA, I guess they have more accessibility to it, and so like they do it
That
like
kind of
every weekend
tracks.
type of vibe.
That's
Yeah, it's
wild to
like
me.
this
She
is
asked my
something to
sister.
me. I think she mentioned something about it. Anyway, yeah, I'll talk to her. But for me, it's like something that you do one time. I don't know if I
Yeah.
do it again. Like maybe in maybe like 5-year span, 2-year span, 3-year span, but not like back to back. I think you're gonna uncover so much that with anything, right? Like even breath work. I did a breath work session the other day, and like once you're doing the breath work, you have all of these downloads. And then when you come out of it, it's like, what the fuck? What was I even thinking? Like you're on a trip. And
Yeah.
then throughout your day, you're realizing like, oh yeah, there was that thing. Oh yeah, there was that thing. Oh yeah, there was that thing. I feel like that's going to be the same thing whenever you go into ayahuasca. Like it's going to tell you all of this. You're going to have all these downloads. And then throughout your year, like I really feel like it at least has to be a year of you like uncovering and integrating what you learned within the process of doing the ayahuasca or anything like that. Because I just, from the stories, it seems like people are receiving so much information,
Yeah.
and they're like seeing Mother Aya, and she's like talking to them, and they all have different things that they said. Like I remember Catherine specifically, she has a whole that's who got me into this, is Catherine.
Yeah.
She has a whole like go down her podcast, but she talks about her experience, and she talks about how Mother Aya like talks about, she told her like this isn't your medicine, like pretty much don't do it again. And she understands now, because she's actually had a newer podcast where she talks about like she understands now that like just like with any modality and tool, you take what resonates and leave what doesn't, and that just, it did resonate with her and covered a lot, but also she knows that she just doesn't need to do it again. And that was something that Sahara Rose also talked about. She talks about her experience with it, and how like, I don't know if she'll do it again or not, but she talked about how for a very long time she was like against it and she didn't want to do it, but then she did it, and now she sees like the medicine in
The
it, and
power.
how
Yeah.
and so yeah, I think it's just all dependent on like what you're ready. Also, that's the thing too, right? With any modality, you're not gonna get what you're not ready for. So with breath work, with embodiment, with regulation tools, with microdosing, macrodosing, with anything that you use, your body, your mind is like so smart. It may bring up feelings, but it like won't tell you what's going on. Like your subconscious mind protects you so hard. And so I also feel like, but I don't know, that's the thing with ayahuasca. Now that I'm thinking about it, I almost feel like it takes that subconscious mind away, and like now you're just like seeing it all. And I don't know though, right? I've never actually done it, but from what I heard, it sounds like that. But again, I think it goes back to what I was saying. Like it's not going to uncover what too deep of dark stuff. And I think it's going to give you what you need in the moment, just like with everything else.
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea. It's just like with any plant medicine or stuff like hallucinogenics. Everyone's so different on how it affects them and what it shows them. And even if some people have very similar, same stories that are seem similar, it's just so different on everybody. And that's why some people, like you're very sensitive to mushrooms. I never really had a bad experience on doses, even though I was surrounded by people at festivals. Now I wasn't very attuned to energy back then, so I don't know about now, but
Well, I've never had a bad experience. It was never a bad experience. They just were intense experiences.
yeah.
And so, like, I could feel the energy of people when I would go to parties when I was younger. And, like, I mean, I knew I always needed to leave because I just
Yeah.
didn't feel safe around the people that I was with, which checks out because no one really cared about me in high school. You know what I mean? They
No,
all
I
care
feel
about themselves, which valid, but whatever.
yeah, I feel. And so with ayahuasca, it's like I can't imagine. Like I feel stumped, and I think that's another, like the unknown of it for me is probably like scary. The scarier part is like I don't
Well,
know.
that, and I didn't really mention this, is like you can throw up, you can shit yourself, you can, yeah, there's a little like more gruesome on the other side of things. And so you never know what you're going to get because your body is just releasing so much. And the body releases through those modalities, whether it's
Yeah.
sweating, screaming, crying, throwing up, shitting yourself, like,
It's a very
it can
vulnerable
be,
state.
it's a very vulnerable state, and you don't know all the people in the ceremony because everyone just decides, obviously you're going to have the people that you need to in the moment,
You know what,
just
though?
with everything else.
Birth had those same
Right.
going into labor had those same kind of, well, you could throw up, you could shit yourself, you could do all these things, and we survive it in the end, and our bodies are smart. And if that's what's happening, it's what you need. And as like crazy as that sounds, it's it kind of brings a comfort to like, nothing's going to happen that isn't needed or that isn't like a regular process.
Yeah,
And
100%.
we do all those things
Yeah.
in general. So it's just being vulnerable and being in a state where people are around and you're under, because you're not going to be, your subconscious mind is kind of taken out of it. It's all just,
Is what it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
But there's power in beauty in that. And I know that too. I know people that have had really good experiences using certain things intentionally in that way. Macrodoses, acid trips, anything of those. People do abuse all of these things regularly. And I think there is a fine line, especially with, I didn't know that people were just ayahuascaing it up every weekend. That's crazy to me. But it's always been kind of crazy to me to do that. Like anytime I've done even like acid at a festival, it's months before I ever want to do it again. And it's not because I had a bad time. It's because like that's a lot. It's always been a lot to me. And like, even though I enjoyed it, it was never like, I knew people that would be doing this. We went to Meadowlands. We met the Luna. I'm not going to go into that story, but her friend, was talking about how he did like strips daily. And I'm like, that's crazy.
That was weird to me. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's still weird to me.
Yeah, no, I'm like, no. And the people that do it more than one, anything like that, like, more power to y'all. But not my vibe. I'm good. I need to be my feet need to be a little bit on the ground. And so the idea of doing ayahuasca for me is also a financial commitment, because I will want to go somewhere that all the way around legit. I don't want to take any chances with something like that. I would be very, very intentional with what I did and where I went, and I would spend the money that it required to do it the right way. And not right way, I don't want to use right way, but do it a way that feels comfortable enough for me.
Yeah, exactly. You have to create a safe space in order for you to even uncover anything that you want to see anyway. Because if you're not feeling safe within your body or in your environment, then like, I feel like it could go south,
Yeah, and that's a heavy point I want to make about any of these things.
Yeah.
Acid, all hallucinogenics have a very, very tipping point that it can go the wrong way. And that's why it's so mindset heavy and so important to be intentional. And if you do recreational, any of these, I'm not judging at all, been there, but I do highly encourage you to be really, really careful and intentional with certain things and the people you're around, because I've also been in a very scary situation around people that were taking them recreationally and then like lost it. And that's not a good place to be in. And with as popular as, especially with the music festival crowd, I feel like it's very, very normalized to just go crazy with all these things in public and around a bunch of people and in really intense sensory overloading situations. And especially for the younger new festival ravers and people, if you're younger and listening to this and you're not as experienced, like, these things are really more dangerous than I think a lot of people let on. It is fun. There's a lot of like power in them and healing properties. And I'm not gonna lie, fun. I'm not judging that, but also there's just there's a tipping point, and a mindset thing is very, very important. That you're in a good headspace. You're not in a very highly emotional state. That, like, you haven't had a lot of grief. There's a lot of things that need to be very, very controlled in these situations when you do, because there's a lot of like stuff that ends up out of your control when you take them. There's no like coming down real quick. You got to write it out. So it's definitely one of those things that I think, and especially with ayahuasca, I would not just like take something from someone that powerful. Me personally,
I wouldn't either.
it's just such a I don't know. That like the idea that people do that is, more power to them. But wow, I really thought it had to be. I don't know. I guess I've been out of the like street drug game for a minute, but
The only reason I say that is because I swear I thought your sister was talking about it one time.
she might have.
Yeah.
She talks about a lot of things.
Yeah, she does. I love her.
I
But
love her. Yeah, I love you.
no, now I gotta ask her questions. But yeah, but also, I mean, I've seen that places in the US, I think they do have like ceremonial things too.
Well,
But yeah,
that's cool.
I feel I looked it up for a while. Maybe that's where I found the information too. I don't even know. But when I was like on that high of let's do it, I wanted to figure out how much it was, where I need to go, what were the flights. Like I was literally getting into everything. But now I've uncovered more things. And I also just want a stance here that like you actually don't need any of these to get to the point where you want to.
Yes.
I said this last time, but like you are the magic and the medicine. Like you can uncover those things yourself as long as you do the work. I'm an embodiment coach, but I feel like with embodiment, it's been like embodiment and breath work are literally the two things that have let me uncover so much about myself, to the point where like I just know myself on a deeper level. I'm more confident with who I am. I love myself more, which in return pours out into other people. And yeah, I really encourage you before you go down one of these paths to actually do the work yourself if you haven't started. If you're listening to this podcast, I would assume that you have started. However, I don't know. Maybe this is your first time listening. So yeah, just fully encourage you to do the work. And if you want to, you're gonna just plug this in real quick. We have a highest self journal that you could literally grab. We have so much information in there, from uncovering limiting beliefs, forgiveness, processing. We have, what else is in there? Do you help me out there? Help me out here. Regulation tools, journal place prompts. Like there's a lot in there, and you can get so much value just from doing something like that. Or you can reach out to Danielle and I. We are both coaches now, so we can help you move through whatever you're currently going through. We can give you tools and modalities at the end of our coaching session with you as well. So you can book those, link in the bio, either Danielle or I. We'll actually put it down below in the episode as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the journal also has a link to our YouTube, and obviously anywhere on our YouTube you can find that we also have regulation, like explanations if you need to be shown what we're even talking about with some of the tools we use. And so yeah, everything's there for y'all, and you can reach out to any of us if you want to ask. I do want to also highlight what Dakota's saying. These are all just, this conversation is for fun. We're just having fun with it, talking about like how we feel about these things, our experiences with them, and also, again, they're just different tools. Dakota and I haven't even done ayahuasca. We are still on the fence. It's not something. And with plant medicine, it's been here a month or two here and there. It's not a daily, all day, everyday thing. Very, very much so just a tool. Everything that we are doing on the daily is definitely more powerful and definitely more something we can all access. You don't need all this extra stuff. You don't need all. At the end of the day, I think in the beginning of my spiritual journey, at least, I felt like I had to do every single tool, every single thing, get all the crystals, get everything. And while all those things are powerful and all those things are fun and all those things have aided in certain ways, you don't need any of this to do the work. You can do it all. Everything that you are looking for is inside. It is already there. The healing, the inner work. Dakota and I started this journey 4 years ago. In 2020, a little bit earlier for her. And this is last year was the first time I tried plant medicine. So like I've been doing the work, and it's been doing way more movement for me than any other of this. So definitely keep that in mind. This is just a fun little conversation, not a need to do situation. If it interests you, for sure, explore that, explore all the tools and modalities that interest you, because the ones that you do enjoy to do are the ones that are going to stick with you. You don't have to do every single one on the list. There are some that I spend time, like for a while I was doing somatic shaking every morning. I don't have the space for that. I've been actually tapping now more than I do shaking, because it is a little easier for me to do where I'm at right now with Oliver around, and he doesn't usually mess with me like the way he wants to like shake and dance with me. So sometimes certain things are going to resonate and then they're going to flow out and something else is going to take its place that resonates more in that time. And if you find that what you're doing right now doesn't resonate, then move on, do something else, and then come back. Maybe it resonates later. That's another thing that has been along both of our journeys in different ways. Like, even if you hear something and it doesn't resonate, but you hear the same thing like 3 months later and all of a sudden it'll click. It's kind of the same with all these tools. Like, if it's not working, like breath work didn't work for me. I didn't resonate with breath work at the beginning. I couldn't sit still enough. I couldn't figure it out. But now I love breath work, and it resonates in such a bigger way than it did 2 years ago. And so just take your time with it and be patient with yourself and trust that, like, if you're not having the same experience with one of these modalities or tools that someone else is having, that's valid and that's okay. And it doesn't mean you're more than, less than any part. It's just, that's not for you right now. And that's fine.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this work since 2017, and there's been things that like faded out and things that I came back to. So I mean, it's a beautiful process. And I think even with spirituality too, like it's a spiral. Spirituality is a full spiral. Like you learn this one thing about yourself and you go around, go around, go around, go around. And now you're learning that same thing, but in a different experience. Now you go around, and you're just getting deeper and deeper and deeper with yourself. And it's going to take time. You're not going to get there right off the bat. Like, come back to yourself each time. That's what it's about, coming home to who you are and learning the lessons that you need to do in this time frame that you're here. And yeah, just go easy on yourself. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything about you. I love that you said that, Danielle. Doesn't mean anything about you. Doesn't mean that you're more or less. It just means whatever resonates with you in the moment resonates with you. And if anything, it means you're unique. It means you're different. And that's what we all actually want to be. So yeah, I encourage you to try and take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Maybe try the tools and modalities that we're giving you first before you even go into microdosing, before you even go into ayahuasca or anything like that.
I would actually highly encourage that.
Yeah.
I would highly encourage you to do some more work first and make sure you're really in a routine and not trying to bypass the work with something that sounds more doable. And I feel like I go back to this because it's like the most like common thing. It's just like with the weight loss pill. Do not try and bypass what you're actually needing to like get to the root of by just taking something magic that you think is going to cure everything, because it's not. It really isn't. Honestly, it might be more damaging than anything else because it is mindset heavy and you don't know what's going to come up. I wasn't, the first month I took it, it wasn't some happy-go-lucky thing. A lot of stuff was being brought to the surface that was very heavy that I had to work through and release. Did it make me release it a lot quicker? Yes. And it did a lot more for me in my mindset than was because I had these practices already heavily in place, that it was powerful enough for me, and it didn't send me down another rabbit hole or deeper, darker rabbit hole. Like it's very important. And if you don't want to try any of this shit, and these 2 episodes were like, damn, y'all are crazy, I would never do any of this, that's cool. That's valid too. Very much valid. It's just a tool. And I'm going to reiterate that a couple times because the messages I received very much came off like maybe it was more of a bypassing thing that you're hoping to do. And that's not what this is going to do for you. I want to be very blunt with that. Is you can't bypass this work. You just can't. You have to do it and get real with yourself and really honest with yourself. If not, you're going to stay spiraling in the same circle instead of down and around, you know. So,
and I also just want to reiterate too, it's none of this healing work is a one and done. I'm not even healing. You can heal something for the first time,
yes.
And then you got to heal it again, like 5 months later, 10 months later, 2 years later. Like, you're like, I thought I healed this. Why is it coming back up? Because, baby, there's a lot more in that spiral that you still need to figure out. And honestly, like, kind of going back to what Danielle said, like, the microdose for her uncovered all of that for her. However, I don't feel like I had the same experience. Do I think maybe it could work a little different if I correctly dose myself? Maybe, and I will try again. But I also feel like the thing that has gotten me the most results is embodiment in a short amount of time. I started this embodiment work like consistently the past 3 months, and I've uncovered so much about myself. I've stepped more into who I am. I've gone after the things that I desire. I stopped letting my inner critic win. I started to tame her. I'm more compassionate with her. I'm more compassionate with myself. Like, there's just so many things that have come out of me doing the embodiment work, where maybe for Danielle, it's about the microdosing. And that's just what it is. You know, we all have different experiences. and we all resonate with different things. So yeah, just coming back, it's all just a tool. I do encourage, to try the modalities first that we've mentioned, and then maybe try the microdosing and anything else that you see fit. If you've already tried microdosing, maybe try to be more intentional about it now, is all that we're saying. You don't have to quit doing what you're doing, take what resonates again, but just get deeper with yourself. Okay, why did you start microdosing? Ask yourself that question. Okay. Maybe it's because I haven't been feeling good lately. Why haven't you been feeling good lately? Oh, well, I'm feeling really scattered brain. I'm being really hard on myself. Okay, well, why? Like keep uncovering that onion and get deeper and deeper with yourself and try to understand, where is all this coming from? What is going on inside? And then you'll be able to start, I feel like, getting deeper with the modalities and medicines that we also use. So just about getting deeper with who you are and, uncovering the truth of who you are.
Yeah, getting to the root of a lot, and it takes so much time. Even, and like Dakota said, it's not a one and done process. None of this is a one and done process. Even if you are aiding with other tools, it's continuous routine and intention with these tools, and to not give up after the first or second try and you're like, oh, I didn't feel anything. Oh, that's too much for me. It takes time, and it takes consistency, and it takes an open mind and an open heart, and to really truly be a good headspace to where you are ready to tackle yourself and the hard conversations and the harder things, and know that it is going to come back up. I'm in the middle of stuff coming back up that I thought I'd healed from my pregnancy right now, because I'm in a new transition of motherhood, and I've realized that Dakota and I were same in a lot of motherhood, because our kids were like similar, but Oliver's reached 2, and all of a sudden it's a very, very different experience in this stage of motherhood. And it's like when I was pregnant and I felt like I was alone again, and I'm like, I thought I like got through this like loneliness and motherhood feeling, especially around community, but in reality it's just like I rework through some of this like inner loneliness I feel in my experience as a mom in this stage, because maybe no one else is around me does have this kind of toddler. I do have a very different toddler than a lot of my friends, and most of my friends either have younger babies or babies they're already a little bit past and they were a little more chill. And so instead of outsourcing this community and motherhood, and I'm learning I need to in-source a little bit more. And I've been playing the victim mode again and all these things that I thought I'd worked through. And it's like, actually, just kidding, we're back. And it's time to go in, re-journal on some things and release. And that's why I started intentionally tapping again. I haven't been for a while. I honestly haven't been doing a couple of things that I need to be doing intentionally. And all that's being brought up because I need to be doing these things to keep working at it, because even though I am in a good space and in a better space than I ever have been, shit's still going to come up. Feelings are still going to come up, and the course stuff's coming up for me because I haven't been in a course like this since the last time, and it's bringing up stuff that I had long thought I had worked my way around. And yes, and there's new levels to it.
And thank you for your vulnerability. That was really beautiful.
Thanks. It's been a learning process, this move. I've also learned that like even really good life disruptions can be life disruptions and can throw you all off balance, and you kind of have to return to yourself, return to the basics. And that's kind of what I've been doing this week. And none of that has included microdosing. I'll be honest, haven't gotten them because that's not in the routine yet. I want to be very intentional when I will be doing another round probably next month, after I get in a solid routine again, because right now the basics are what bring me back home.
Every time.
My basics might look different, but just to preference what my basics are: movement in the morning, an embodiment practice in the morning, either an ice roller on my face or a full ice dunk. Shaking, but right now I'm doing tapping because that feels more in alignment. One of the two.
Before you go, I want to say, just because if you don't know what tapping is, it's EFT, what is it called?
Electric frequency technique. Tapping? Wait.
Emotional freedom technique. Yeah. No, I thought about the same
Way
thing.
off. I was
But
like, that
it's
way.
because it's where you're tapping on your meridian points. And if you don't know, we'll leave the playlist down below, but we have information on that. But you can just look up EFT and then maybe like a belief that you're holding on to, or it could even be to feel good, or it could be, I'm not good enough, or whatever it is. And it'll show you, you'll just follow along, but you're tapping on, if you're looking on YouTube, you can see me, but you're tapping on the meridian points. And that releases belief stuck energy. I need to look more into it, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And so, yeah, I encourage you to try that too. Anyway, Cody, so that's also what you do. I didn't want to cut you off, but I just wanted to reiterate.
No. And hydration, making sure I'm getting enough water. Every time I feel like my mind is everywhere, I'm not getting enough water. It's very simple, but very powerful. And then cleaning and clearing space. Since we moved, I've kind of had that RV everywhere. I'm not the kind of person. I am an organizational queen, and I have to, when everything feels out of place, my brain, it feels just as scattered. I feel like I'm the same as the space around me. We
Literally.
are one. And if we are everywhere, then I feel everywhere. So really being intentional with clearing space and energy and realigning with this full moon. I am loving that the full moon falls on a Monday and it's a super full moon. I love when it starts at the beginning of a week. It just makes my soul so happy to have things like in line so I can like start fresh on Monday. And that's been life-changing for me this week. Just tapping into the basics, letting everything go, and just working on those basics is where the power is at. And Dakota's right. And embodiment practice is everything. Once I started doing more embodiment practices and somatic exercises, it's like I was able to get out of my head for the first time in my life. I am so, like I already said it, I'm very head heavy. There's a lot of thoughts all the time, just nonstop. And the only things that have really gotten me out of that space and into a clear space is embodiment practice and somatic dance in particular, to be honest, for both or me. I just started leaning into my love for dance a lot more and giving myself permission to be that person. And it's been totally different. Everything about my life feels so different in that.
But I think what's different in that is giving yourself permission. You said that so beautifully. You're giving yourself permission to live the life that you've been dreaming to live, that you've been wanting to live. And a lot of that does come from, I feel like I've just gained so much confidence from doing the embodiment practices that I do, because it allows you to see like your true and full power of feeling your feelings and feeling it to heal it. Because these emotions don't want to stay. They don't want to be in your body. But what we do is we suppress them and we hold them down in our bodies. And then it's like something triggers us. And then we start to feel, I don't know, a tightness in our chest. So it's important to go into that tightness. And as soon as you validate what that tightness in your chest wants to say, yes, maybe this sounds woo-woo, but I'm telling you, it fucking works. It will tell you what it needs from you. And once it tells you, it's like, all right, peace out. I'm done. Like, that's all I needed you to know. Thank you for validating me. Thank you for being here. I needed you to know that I'm scared to do this right now. And you're like, hey, but we're safe. And I love you so much. And we're doing a great job. And, just affirmations towards yourself and giving it the space it wants, it will leave. You will not feel that anymore. And once you feel that energy leaving your body, that emotion leaving your body, you feel so fucking liberated. You feel so free. You feel free to go after the things that you want. You feel free to like stop getting in your own way. Like, it's not a thing anymore. I'm telling you, this work has shifted my complete reality. And I'll scream it from the rooftops until the day that I pass over and die. But
no, really. I mean, I shuffled at the gym the other day.
Yeah, I'm really proud of you. That's amazing.
Dakota's probably the only one who knows the like gravity of that, but
we started at the same time.
You wouldn't have caught me dead shuffling in the gym, especially in this, like, the most freeing thing for me is to not have to be, I've been a lot more like free to be seen and a lot less afraid of being seen. And I used to dance in the gym when I was at my thinnest. When I felt like it was acceptable to be seen in a public space, to move my body in a public space because it wasn't fat. And now I'm not in where I was then, comfortable in my body regardless of its size for the first time in my life. And I'm still working to get where I want to be. And I'm okay with the process of that. And I am okay to be seen even in my imperfection. And that is the difference that it makes. I can be my full expression of self without feeling like I have to also present a an acceptable body size to be that person. To
Yeah.
give myself permission to dance in public, regardless if I'm a size 4 or a size 18.
Yeah.
And it's really powerful work. And when you think about it in like your day-to-day life, what it opens up, like, it's honestly hard to explain the
Yeah.
difference in how you feel and just the willingness to do. I mean, looking back at this time last year, like everything I'm doing, what I was journaling about in like a 5-10 year plan. Like,
Yep.
it's been a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you.
And that's what this work really can do for you. And
Mm-hmm.
that's all without any of these modalities.
Yeah. I also really want to
Or
go back.
without any of the like plant medicine modalities, not
Yeah,
these
yeah, yeah,
modalities,
yeah,
but
yeah. These
without like,
modalities, yes.
yeah, without
Yeah,
the
without
plant
the
medicine, a very small part of this journey was using that sort of thing. So are they powerful? Yes, but are they exactly what got us here? Absolutely not. Not even
yeah.
close.
No, I agree 100%. I think they get it. Yeah, no, 100%. And I agree with that. And I also feel like when you do the modalities like embodiment, breath work, journaling, the modalities that don't include plant medicine, you start to realize things that you were holding on to for so long actually didn't have to be your truth. And I'm being a little vague here, but just to like kind of talk about where I'm at. I know I literally told you guys last episode that my goal was to move to Corpus this year. Well, that's not planning out, but I'm so okay with that. Like, I actually feel really empowered in that. And beforehand, it was like, if I don't move, then I'll be honest, it was a moment of like, I told my partner, if we can't move because of the job that you don't get, I'm moving on my own. And now it's like, wait, no, that doesn't even have to be my truth fully, because like actually love my life now, and I haven't moved environments. I'm still in the same environment. And I know we've talked about like, the whole analogy of like, it's important where you're growing the plant, the seed, in order for it to prosper and become a beautiful flower or tree or whatever it is. And so if that's not happening, then you move it and you change the environment. However, sometimes the environment is what you internally feeling inside. And internally, I'm feeling liberated. I am feeling free in the life that I have here now. Nothing has changed. I live in the same apartment. We're in the same situation. My partner is at the same job. Like, it's just like, yeah, that is changing right now. That was random, but that's not why I'm feeling liberated. I'm feeling liberated because I've been doing more of this work, and I'm actually uncovering my feelings, and I'm actually like going after my dreams and my goals and not letting things stop me anymore. And I felt like if I was to move to Corpus, that I would just feel more liberated because of the environment. The truth is, you don't need the environment to change how you feel inside. You need to change inside to change the environment. And I'm feeling so empowered in that. And I just wanted to, just let you know that sometimes it's not where you live. Sometimes it's not that you're isolated. Sometimes it's not A, B, and C. It's just like because of what you're feeling. And if you don't feel your feelings, if you don't sit with your feelings, you're going to continue to feel lonely. You're going to continue to feel dread. You're going to continue to feel all of these heavy feelings because you're not letting them escape your body. You're not letting the energy move. So really be with your feelings, sit with them. I know it's hard. I know it's heavy. Okay. But I promise you, you will feel so much freedom on the other side. And the only word I can give for you about this is literally freedom and like feeling liberated. Because I just feel like nothing is stopping me anymore. Not myself, not my environment. Not myself, not my environment, not anything. Like it was always me against me. It was always me against me. And now I'm winning.
Hey.
Literally though, I'm feeling so good. Like I have my moments. Shit's gonna come up. Don't get me wrong. Shit always comes up. And also now I'm in a better space where like I'm not letting it come up and like be suppressed. I'm letting it come up and I'm letting myself feel it.
Yeah,
I'm crying when I need to cry. I'm releasing when I need to release. It's not something I'm holding on to anymore. It's not stopping me.
It's not lingering and looping, because that's all it does when it stays. It lingers and it loops, and it makes space. More and more stuff's going to get harder and harder until it's literally seen. It won't. It's very similar to my toddler right now. If you try to ignore it, it will do stuff. and create a mess that you cannot ignore, that you cannot not see, that you cannot just keep your blinders on, because now you got to clean up this huge ass mess. Now you got to keep it from getting out. It's a lot, and it's the best thing you can do. Honestly,
I would say with the analogy with the mess wouldn't be true. Okay, but the analogy with him escaping, yeah, you don't want your kid to escape. But can you be in the mess? You know? Can you just be in the mess? Can you be in the ice cream spilled on the floor? Can you be on the ship painted on the wall? Can you just be with it for a moment? You know? Because once you're okay with the mess, once you're okay with that crazy energy you got inside of you, then you can come to a point where it's like, okay, now we can release this. Now we can clean it up. But it's not about immediately cleaning up and stopping what you're doing. It's about being with it for a moment and being okay with it for a moment. Now, if your kid's escaping, go get him out the door. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's messy. Feelings are messy. And you know what? And they're fucking assholes sometimes, honestly. Like, they can fucking say some shit that you're like, damn, goddamn. That's really how you feel? Goddamn. It's like, all right, well, come on. Let's give it to me. How are you feeling? Let's hear what you got to say. And sometimes it's going to be like, we are so powerful and step into your power. You're amazing. And sometimes it's going to be like, you're a dumb bitch who doesn't know shit. And I feel like everything that you do is just rocking your world right now. And you know what? And you're not seeing me and you're not hearing me. And they can get ugly. And that's okay. That's what they need. They need to be heard. Have you ever felt like you were feeling so angry and you're like, oh, I just want to say this to this person so bad, but I'm not. I'm going to refrain. And then later on, it comes out in a giant fight. And it's like, when I could have just been honest with you, not in an ugly way, but I could have just been honest with you. And even in those moments too, a good way to express and feel, I'll probably do a whole podcast on embodiment, but a way that you can express in those moments is, if you're feeling rage, you can punch your pillow or, punch your bed or like hit and slap your bed or the air. And you can be saying out loud what you're feeling. So if it's like, fuck you, I hate you, maybe you even think about somebody because they ticked you off, right? Fuck you, I hate you. Why would you do this to me? How come you can't just do this? Like, just let it out, because that's another form of releasing the energy, is speaking. It's your throat chakra. It's releasing your energy through whatever you want to say and feel. And so, yeah, just encourage you to get in there, even if it seems crazy, even if it seems like, the fuck am I doing? Because it's going to feel that way. But I promise you, you're going to realize how great you really releasing in every way that you need to is going to be so effective for how you feel after.
Agreed.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
It is them.
What do you mean?
I mean, it is. Like, there were a lot of times I didn't think this was in the thick of it. No, I was like, this sucks. I want to quit. Many times, but you don't. And you push and you keep healing and doing.
But that's the thing, too, that I've recently learned. It's like, when you're feeling that, right? Like, this sucks. I hate this. Like, why can't we go past this? It's like, it's never about your current situation. It's the fact that you're resisting how you're feeling. That creates the turmoil, creates the suckiness. So it's important to feel the suck, feel the shit, feel the, I don't want to do this anymore. But yes, it does. It does. 100%. That's valid as fuck. It does suck. It does suck. And it is hard. But we do resist those feelings, what make it harder. It goes back to the looping that you were saying. It's going to create that loop, because you're not just feeling what the fuck you want to feel.
Yeah, I guess I meant that's what I meant by with like the mess. Like, it will just continue to show up in like bigger ways, in a sense, like to grab your attention. Like you said earlier, when you hold something in when you wanted to say something to somebody, and then it ends up in an argument later in a bigger way, when it could have just been handled in a different way in the moment.
100%. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's beautiful. Good analogy.
I just heard a turkey and I was like, what the fuck was that?
Well, guys, I don't know if we have anything else left for you. I hope you received and gained a lot of information here. I know we led into embodiment. I feel like, I just hope you enjoyed this episode. And again, just to reiterate, right, like, these are all tools. These are all tools. What you really need to do is dive within, get deep with yourself, try to understand yourself on a deeper level, in order to feel how you essentially want to feel. Is it
Yeah.
happy? Is it liberated? Is it powerful? Is it strong? Is it empowered? What do you actually want to feel?
And really tune in to what modalities truly speak to you, and not just like a fun, cool word right now. Because I know microdosing is kind of a trendy thing, but like it doesn't have to resonate with you. And if it's just doesn't, then really just tune into the tools and modalities that really do. Focus on those. Focus on the ones that we've talked about outside of that first, like we said, and even just pick one. Pick one.
Pick one. Yeah.
Pick one. Start there. Move from there. And yeah, just really get quiet with yourself and ask yourself which one resonates most and start there. And tune out what everyone else does, what everyone else's favorite thing is, whatever trendy thing you see, and just really stick with what sounds so good to you, because that's what you're going to stick with, and that's what your mind and your body is telling you it wants from this process right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and keep coming back to it every time you step out of alignment or you aren't on top of your game with the consistency. Like, just come back to it. It's no big deal. Give yourself some grace. We're all human. Consistency doesn't mean every day. It means maybe every other week for you. And that's okay too. There's still progress in that. Give yourself a pat on the back. Go back to the things that you love, the things that suit you, the things that make you feel good. And I promise you, you're going to see so much growth in that. So proud of you. Thank you for listening. And yeah, anything else you want to add, Dave?
No, this was fun. I like these topics,
Me
and
too.
I hope y'all enjoyed it and have fun with it, if anything. And again, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. If you have questions, comments, anything, feel free to hit us up. We're here. Yeah, and we're excited. Hope y'all enjoyed this. We'll see y'all in the next episode. Not sure.
We will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
we
coming
will.
soon. Yeah, we will.
Bye, guys. Have a good day.